Well, Sheila, Elizabeth, friends, what a delight to be here. The only amendment I'd make to that very generous introduction by my great friend Elizabeth is she indicated that Sharon and I raised 5 daughters. It's the reverse. The 5 daughters have raised especially their father, which has been a great challenge. But I say I'm the most improved man in the world because every morning 6 women get up and say, "How do we improve Dad today?" Because he slipped back so much overnight. All the important things in life I've learned from my children. I say that not entirely in jest. And what a treat to hear from Firaz, Zoe, and Simone with those magnificent declarations that speak to the future of our country. Firaz, who referred to the Queen Elizabeth Scholars. You must be a founder, Firaz. You would be in the first cohort of the Queen Elizabeth Scholars. And emphasizing what I call the diplomacy of knowledge. Think of that concept, the diplomacy of knowledge, and helping us to be global citizens. And Zoe, with that great story of being the first in her family, isn't that a Canadian story? The first in the family to get a higher education, the great promise of Canada, and then emphasizing the challenge for all of us with reconciliation, to make Canada whole through reconciliation, our 2017 project. And Simone beginning with posing the challenges for us, the challenges, which for me is encapsulated in that great statement of John Gardner, Secretary of Education in the United States some 40 or 50 years ago. Can we have equality of opportunity and excellence too? Equality of opportunity and excellence too. To see those not as mutually conflicting objectives, but mutually reinforcing objectives. That's the great challenge for Canada, equality of opportunity and excellence too. So let me begin. Canada, a nation of losers. That's right, losers. I bet you weren't expecting to hear that from the Governor General today, were you? But that was the opinion of Hugh McLennan. How many of you know Hugh McLennan's works? Those of you who haven't, you have a treat in store from you. Hugh was a 5-time winner of the Governor General's Literary Awards. In fact, going back to the first one, they were first awarded in 1937 when John Buchan, Lord Tweedsmuir, was Governor General. He was one of Canada's greatest novelists of the 20th century. But he said that as praise, not as an insult, a praise. Pour Hugh McLennan, nous traiter de perdants était un compliment et non une insulte. By calling us all losers, he meant that many Canadians, with the notable exception when he was writing of Indigenous people, many Canadians came to Canada from abroad out of necessity. Les nombreux Canadiens venus ici par nécessité fuyaient la guerre et fuyaient les femmes. They were fleeing oppression, they were fleeing lack of opportunity. But what were they fleeing to? Well, the opposite of those things. They came for peace, for prosperity, for tolerance, for opportunity. They chose to come to Canada from oppressive situations because they wanted life to be better for their children and their grandchildren and the communities in which they lived. C'est ce que le Canada représentait pour bon nombre de nos parents, grands-parents et ancêtres lointains qui sont venus ici. Paix, prospérité, tolerance et opportunité. Peace, prosperity, tolerance, opportunity. Pretty attractive, no? All four ingredients are essential. But I believe the last two, tolerance and opportunity, are the foundation of Canada's success, past, present, and future. Sans tolérance ni possibilité, autrement dit, sans inclusivité, il ne peut y avoir ni paix ni prospérité. An inclusive country, theme 1. Where Canada has succeeded, it has been through a commitment to inclusiveness, an understanding of and respect for difference. And more than that, our success stems from our diversity. It gives us strength. Where Canada has failed in the past, for example, the disastrous residential schools policy, it has been in trying to reduce diversity and restrict inclusiveness. Canadian society is at its best when it mirrors its geography, broad, expansive, inclusive. La beauté du Canada et la chose vraiment novatrice, c'est que nous pouvons incarner plusieurs de ces réalités à la fois. One of my predecessors, I mentioned a moment ago, John Buchan, Lord Tweedsmuir, author of 120 books, and writing was a part-time occasion for him. Just think of that, 120 books, not a small accomplishment. I think of Lord Tweedsmuir as I'm sitting in my office with a pile of stuff like that at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I look at Buchan's name on the wall, all the names of the previous Governor General there, and I say, you know, Buchan would have had this done before breakfast, and he'd be writing the sequel to 39 Steps or some other great novel. Well, he was born in Scotland, which explains a lot, the son of the Presbyterian manse, and he served as Canada's Governor General from 1935 to 1940, years which saw the outbreak of the Second World War. Despite those difficult years, he was very optimistic about this country. And Buchan was among the first to articulate an essential theme of Canada, inclusiveness. John Buchan a compris que nous sommes plus forts lorsque nous embrassons la diversité. Il y a voyait la clé de la paix et la prospérité. C'est encore le cas. In 1936, for example, Buchan told a group of people of Ukrainian origin who had settled in Manitoba that you will all be better Canadians for being also good Ukrainians. Now just think about that for a moment. Not merely you can be both Canadian and Ukrainian, but you will be a better Canadian for honoring your Ukrainian identity. The same applies to any hyphenated identity you can think of. Respect who you are and where you've come from, and respect where you are and where we are going together. In Canada, you can do both. Second theme, Canada's moment. Pensez à la façon dont cette notion de respect et de promotion de la diversité est devenue une réalité incontournable qui est parfaitement adaptée au monde dans lequel nous vivons aujourd'hui. Our world, a trite statement, is complex, diverse, globalized, and changing very fast. In fact, the rate of change is accelerating. I commend to you Tom Friedman's latest book, Thanks for Being Late. Nothing late about this epoch. And the remarkable thing that Friedman writes about, and I'll quote him a little bit later, is that the pace of change is actually accelerating exponentially, and how we grapple with that is so key. The fourth industrial revolution, the one that comes after digital, is all about emerging technology. It's the stuff of science fiction. In fact, science fiction writers are having trouble writing science fiction these days because it's become science fact. The Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, biotech, self-driving cars, nanotechnology, on. And like the first, second, and third industrial revolutions, the fourth is having quite profound effects on our lives. It's what revolutions do, and our capacity in terms of social interaction to deal with this extraordinarily rapid and accelerating technological revolution is very challenging indeed. In such times, our thinking, our behavior, our laws and institutions, and our learning must adapt and keep pace. Nous devons accepter qu'un changement se produira, que nous le voulions ou non. The only question is, to what extent do we shape that change? Or put another way, how do we avoid becoming its victims? The Pulitzer Prize-winning author, writer Thomas Friedman, I mentioned a moment ago, calls this the age of accelerations, plural, the age of accelerations. When people and societies are being challenged by the rapid circulation of ideas and change in virtually all spheres of life, how we respond, he writes, will determine our success in navigating this historical moment. Darwin once said, it is not the most powerful or the strongest of the species that will survive, it's the most resilient. To quote Friedman, he says, those societies that are most open to flows of trade, flows of trade, information, finance, culture, education, And those most willing to learn from them and contribute to them are the ones most likely to thrive in the age of accelerations. Those that can't will struggle. And he focuses on the flow of information, not the grasp of information, not the recording of facts, the storing of items of data in the brain, but the flow and the ability to participate fully in that. The title of this conference, Converge, is very apt. This is exactly what's happening in this age of accelerations, rapid, profound convergence on a global scale. And so how do we help shape that change rather than merely react? That's our challenge. That's your challenge. Que peut-on faire pour contribuer à façonner ce changement, plutôt que de simplement y réagir? Voilà notre défi. Voilà votre défi. It's our 150th birthday. I believe Canadians have a unique opportunity to thrive and to make our voices heard in the world. This is a diverse, open country. As we all know, tragically terrible things can and do happen here, but we are by and large comfortable with our diversity. Nous vivons dans un monde diversifié, mondialisé, plein d'idées et de différences. Nous la célébrons aussi. Canadians are poised to engage with the world and to succeed anywhere. And this is Canada's moment. Third and final theme, the call to action. So my challenge to you is this. Let's not waste our moment. Get out there. Get involved. Speak up. Be part of it. As participants in this conference, you're among the leading lights of your generation. You come from right across the country, reflecting its wonderful diversity. Vous êtes les ambassadeurs de vos collectivités et de vos écoles, et j'espère vous vous passez à la prochaine étape. I want you to be ambassadors for this Canadian experiment. That's what it is, an experiment, and we want to make it a success. This experiment for reconciliation, for tolerance, for inclusiveness, for openness, for collaboration, for the possibility of Canada. I want you to champion Canada wherever you go. And that means defending and improving our open, inclusive society and demonstrating to the world that this is what Canada stands for. And that means training yourselves to think creatively. It means learning new languages and skills. It means speaking up for what you believe in. It means considering the perspectives of others, especially those with whom you disagree or don't understand. Engage with them in dialogue and in good faith. Inclusiveness means all members of a society matter. And at last count, Canada was home to 36,386,425 people, and every single one of them matters. Chacun de ces personnes compte. C'est une terre de possibilités pour tous. Voilà la possibilité du Canada. But we can't take it for granted. We can't assume success is inevitable. We have to advocate for the kind of country and the kind of world we want. We have to articulate it. Words matter. We have to build it. Actions matter. We have to live it. Conviction matters. I've worked with young people my entire life, and I have such complete faith in all of you. Je souhaite inviter tous ceux et celles qui peuvent offrir des possibilités à ces jeunes gens brillants, talentueux et dynamiques à passer à l'action. Donnez-leur la chance de nous montrer la voie à suivre. Ils sont prêts. In this, our 150th birthday year, a year of reflection and pride and accomplishment, we use it as a springboard to do more in the future. And let's recognize Canada's unique nature as we do that. Let's correct the mistakes of the past and build a more inclusive country. Let's encourage the world to learn from us and to work with us. It's 2017. This is the year to celebrate for Canada what it is, a country of losers that is in so many ways the envy of the world. C'est maintenant à vous d'agir et l'avenir est entre vos mains. Thank you for answering the call. Merci.